All right, when I get this lumber and I pull it off of the rack, this is resawn from logs that I've done. Some of it's store-bought fence pickets, but the rest of it is pretty much uh, resawn lumber that I've run off of a bandsaw mill. And what I have to do is figure out what kind of a size of a thing that I'm running. Like, for example, this is going to be a 24-inch lantern walnut, 24-inch lantern walnut. I've got some oak that I'm going to make, some maple. This is going to be um, a white carved emblem. That'll be about 16 inches. That one will probably be about a 16 inches. That's some different kind of oaks together, and that one will be a 16 inch. So I'm going to these three, and then that one. So these will all be cut down to about that point and come up with some 16-inch emblems and that kind of thing. So there's that, and then I'm going to make. I probably need to cut up another section of walnut for another set of lanterns. So as I'm figuring this stuff, I said the first thing I'll do on here, I'm going to get some more, three more pieces of walnut out there. First thing I do is I'll cut the ends off of it and get it down to like a couple inches within my finished length, and then I'll cut that off just to remove the machining time on these. And once I get them down length, then I'll take the cut offs and throw them away, and then I'll straight line them and put a straight line edge on them. That way I'm not joining an extra foot on every board that I won't need. So I'll get it down to about the right length, and then the last thing I'll do, we'll cut it square, and after I rip them. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I am going to get one more chunk of walnut out of here and set this up for that. And there we go. So let's get her done. Okay, we got that walnut out of the way. And now I'm going to move down to the next dimension. Those are my three 24-inch panels. They're 26 inches long right now. I'll straight line them. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this. These are all 16-inch panels for some Ranger emblems that I'm going to make. And these pieces, other than that, those two pieces of maple, I can get enough to make, two out of that most likely. And then these pieces here, I'll have to cut them down right there and see what I can do with that thing. So anyway, this is oak here, that's maple, and some cedar. And I'm going to turn them into some Ranger Emblem 16-inch wide Ranger Emblem plaques. Okay, there's my walnuts, and there's the scrap that I have left over that's saving. There's my cut-offs. So I'll dump them in my burn barrel right there and save those for future projects. Okay, I cleared enough material for 12 lanterns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 16-inch Ranger emblems with a coat on it for souvenirs and fundraisers. And then I took all the scraps from that and turned it into 7-inch glue up material for plaques. And that way I don't have to cut up the good stuff for plaques. I just use what the scraps are and get them ready, and then I'll glue them into blanks and have them ready for that. So I cleaned up some of my scraps that was been laying around the garage for quite a while, and reduced one of the stacks. Took some oak off that. I need to put them, strap them back together before they fall over. So anyway, let me get that done. So there we go. All right, this is all dimension down, ready for glue up. There's three 24 by 24. Well, they're probably about 25 by 26 sections. They'll cut down to 24 by 24. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 16-inch rounds that will glue up. And this last one, that's got a myriad of different things in it. So The rest of them are pretty much like wood for like wood. I've got a cedar in here, just a western cedar. Then I've got a piece of maple. Looks like a little oak, and then another oak, and then maple and walnut twist. And then I got a solid walnut in there as well. So one of these is spoken for, and the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is so the other 6 are not spoken for. So we'll just kind of keep them handy. But anyway, that represents about probably 5 hours worth of work getting that down and dimensioning up, and then filled this thing up. Had to go dump it. It was plumb full from the planing. And then these are some plaque parts, and it's just, these are the remnant cutoffs. They haven't been planed yet, but I'll run them through the planer here one of these days when I'm filling spry, and we'll get them all dimensioned down. Then I'll glue them up into plaques. But anyway, this is the cutoffs and the waist. So anything that was 8 inches or 7 inches long, I pretty well just kept it and turned it into a plaque. So I'll put like for like pretty much in my glue ups, and then so that'll make a set of, I don't know, 10, 12 plaques at least, probably, maybe a few more. And I was going to make one of them out of pine, but I didn't have enough lumber for it. So there you go. But it's Memorial Day weekend, and we're going to go up and visit my parents' graves, drop some flowers by. And there is my oak over here in Walnut, and then I have 3 times that much in oak drying in the shed, and I have a stack of cedar that's probably twice as high as that of cedar out in the shed drying. So this is all the cutoffs from yesterday. So cut out all of the bad spots, the bark inclusions, the rot, the holes, the wormwood, the stuff. And but this is good hardwood firewood. I mean, this is good stuff. There's $15 worth of firewood in there, so try and use it all and put it to use. So, and when I get ready, we're gonna make some lanterns. This isn't really the lantern we're making. This is one I'm replacing. I had this design with the glass slit up, and the problem is that these are all break right here. So I'm gonna modify that a little bit and put a little different setup in there. And then I think I may design a bottom matchbox or tinder box that fits on the bottom of them. So anyway, there we go. It's coming around. Little projects for the shop. And I forgot to show you this little guy right here. I made this yesterday. What this is just a slide, and it basically is just a little slide right there. I haven't put any glue on it, but you turn that in there and it locks it in place. Put a little finger down there, and that's to catch anything that's out this way. Most of the time I'll just use a stop block like this and a clamp on the fence, but anything that's outside in this dimension here, and then of course if it's about past that, I'll use the fence on the table saw, so for stops. But anyway, that gives me this area here that I had that you can't just anyway. So there we go, and that was kind of fun putting that together. Put a little half light going in there and cut it a little bit. So there we go. A little walnut, a little oak, a little maple, and I think that's just oak and walnut. All right, I'm ready to glue this up. Got all my edges that need glue on them up, and just flip them all that way, and they'll glue up. I gotta go change clothes. I'm in my dress clothes. So let's get that done. Okay. There is the good old-fashioned glue up. There's one that's Western Cedar. This is maple and black walnut. Those are lantern, 24-inch lantern slabs. This is my jig. I'm really liking this. If you mount these parallel to the board, put these in there, and you start putting pressure on your glue ups, they just go together square, and they're not wonky. Everything glues up. All your joints on the ends line up, and yeah, so this makes it a lot easier to do that in that respect. So, you know, all these were just the one before I put together, and then drill the holes, and that was it. Ripped them. You do the same thing with a 1x6. Just rip the holes and then rip them right down the center. So it worked out good. There we go. All right, that's a 26, I think, by 26. Those are 17 by 17s. And around here is another 26 by 26. These would be walnut lanterns. And so there's good stuff. Came out of a stack of walnut. And there's my stack of oak. And there we go. I'm gonna let them dry up. Probably start putting some of them on the CNC to make the Ranger emblems and make them available for around powwow sometime, which is in a couple weeks. There we go. All right, I just use the little spring clamps to draw up the edges and bring them up flush. So these are going to be cut up for lantern parts. There's 4 lantern kits in that one piece, and there's another 4 there, and then another 4 over here. So I'm going to start CNCing some of those after I clear the clamps out of the way, and mount a couple of them over there and cut some 15-inch Ranger rounds. All right, got a piece of Western Cedar. These are just fence pickets. I never planed them down, just let them rough. I'm going to try a little different something for this. This is going to be a Ranger code emblem. They're 17 by 18 and a half. The finished product is about 15 by 15. So I got a little play on the ends of it around the corners. I think I'll probably go with the center or the corner. I can't remember. So let me go ahead and load the program up and flip my thumb drive in there. My disposable cord, so I'm not wearing out my socket out of my USB device. The frictions goes here, and let me go ahead and check and see what that says as far as the setup, and then we'll go from there. All right, I'm gonna use some of these flat wood 8 by 1 inch. They're not very long. All they need to do is go down in here, and so they'll go through that 1/4 inch plywood and then into that right there, and that will be enough to hold it down flat. This board is perfectly flat. This is going to be a V-carve on a Ranger. I always pre-drill with brass, and these, of course, Phillips head. And this go for a lot of hold downs before that head gets wallered out. And then once the head gets wallered out, you just toss it. But you know, that saves a whole bunch of bits. If one of them, especially my first one, if I'm doing a bunch of them, I'll start off the brass and then I'll move out to the steel bits. You know, the steel screws. And that way I won't have to worry about them. Anyway, my center, my datum's right here in the center. I put an X from corner to corner. And none of these pieces are exactly the same. They're just rough cut. So that doesn't really matter. The center is what I'll work off of. And that way I can move my jig around on each one. And it doesn't take a minute to do that. So if I was doing a bunch of them, then I'd cut them all the same length, width, and size, and create a bolt template with a bolt hole in it. And then pre-drill those like that. Or I would use the washer and the hold down on the sides, which this is pretty good right here. Okay, the first tool path is cleared out the room for the emblem and the lettering that goes down here. Got a nice job on it. And there's my emblem. Now I'm going to carve this inner surface, and we're going to get that done with the 2D number 2 3D finish emblem. So let's get that done. Well, sometimes you just gotta clean your bits, because if you don't, in your collets, you get bit slippage. That's when you lose all your work, and the bit slips down, and you start looking at it and think something don't look right there, and you start cutting, and the things that you know were supposed to be flat are now tapering down, and you're looking at it going, what's going on there? And then pretty soon it slips totally, and there you get a waste of a glue up job and a project, and that's just the frustration of it sometimes. So I used turpentine and soaked them in turpentine for about 15 minutes, and then wiped them off and blew them off, and bits and everything. So we'll see if that doesn't fix it. Did buy a couple of new collets from an online source for the Porta cables, and I don't know that they're up to the same quality as the Porta cable chucks, but I had a couple of the Porta cable chucks actually give it up. So these are the two new ones. They look pretty much the same, but the bits really are real slick going in and out of them. So they're 1/4 inch. They're not 6mm, but they're 1/4 inch. They're advertised as 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna give them one more try and see what we get. So anyhow, there you go, and that's what happens sometimes. So let's start over with another project. All right, use my cross to find my center, and then I squared to that center off the ends, and that gave me all my 6 lines for alignment, which makes it a lot easier when you're doing center. Anyway, so she's set up. I used the V-bit to give me a good center. Now I'm going to chuck up the 1/4 inch and hog that out in there in the middle of it. Okay, while the CNC's in there plugging away, I'm gluing up my straps for plaques, and basically they'll be 5 by 7 inches long, about the plaque width. So these pieces are pretty well set up for that. I'll be able to take these and use these for plaques, and that's all walnut. And that way I'm not cutting up my good stuff for just the plaques because they're small in size. And I take the leftovers of the good stuff and put it together. So I'm going to glue all these up, and then I'll cut 7-inch blanks out of them. So let me get that done. So it's funny, after literally thousands of glue ups, it finally came to me that if I put glue in there just about the depth of the bristles, and I get just the right amount of glue on my edges with this nylon brush, and there's really no waste, there's no drips. Everything gets the right amount of glue on it, and it comes out with a great glue joint. So I just got to keep from overfilling this. If I get it too full, then it gets up on the brushes, but it's easy enough to wipe off. So I'm going to glue this half here, put them together, and then stand the other half up and get them glued up. Okay, so when I glue up, I get them lined up, and then I barely put any clamping pressure on them. I just kind of hold them a little bit snug. I wipe the glue with a wet rag, and of course, you know, the glue has to be water soluble. But anyway, clean it off there, get the biggest part of it off. Then I'll put the big clamp on there and put the pressure on both sides, because if you don't, this will pop up in the middle, and then you can apply some more tension to it. And then I'll turn it over and wipe the other side. Okay, that's the other side, and I've just basically wiped off most of it. I'm going to loosen this clamp, pull it over just a hair, wipe the glue off that, put it back in position, come back over on this side, loosen this clamp, and pull it back over to position, and clean it so that there's really no glue left on it. Okay, I wiped the clamp off, I cleaned up this. I still have the 2 clamps on it, holding it all together, nice and flat, and I'll put that back on, move it a little bit out to the outside, keep it as parallel as I can, and then it'll be a nice glue up. Okay, that's after putting glue on all them boards. That's my grips. This is a piece of work that just dripped from my brush hanging over the end of it. But look how clean that glue up table is, and it's fast. So there's my board over there, and I'm going to finish up the rest of these. We'll put them in there. Have a little mixture of different woods on that one, and we'll get that going and clean off my table and get my new rack clamps out. Okay, when you glue up, You lay them out, get all your good surfaces, of course, get them all lined out. If your clamps are parallel, they'll just clamp together like if they'll fit. So everything will pull together straight. And then you turn up the edges that need to be glued. For example, this one doesn't get glue on it. This one here doesn't get any glue on it. But the rest of them all get glued, and they all turn this way. And of course, oak and the maple don't glue together, so there's no glue that way. So everything turns to the left and get it good. So let's get her glued up. Alright, went out and rinsed off my rag. I always do that outside if the water faucet outside out front, even in the winter months, to keep the glue from going down in your plumbing pipes. And after a while, the buildup would actually be a problem. But so keep it outside. Same with your paints. Alright, so that one routed out for that. That was good. Everything looks good. I'll change bits and we'll put the ball nose in there. Well, when you're laying out these little pieces, it really pays to put your clamps parallel, and they just glue up naturally. And all I'm doing is just clamping that down with that. That keeps them flipping over and that kind of thing. These are, of course, easy to put on. I do measure from the end of it, and all I did on these is I just took the two of them and clamped them together. I just used a forcer bit or a spade bit and drilled down through there, and then I ran them over, of course, to the router. But just a half distance of a 1 inch galvanized pipe or 3/4 inch pipe, about 1 inch is what the bit was. So anyway, there we go, and we'll put this away, let that dry up, and we'll see what other projects that I can get going on out here in the shop while the CNC's carving away for the next hour and a half. Alrighty, we're getting closer. Got her carved out. Now all I need to do is cut it, and there will be. So let me run the cut.